Hello friends, in the last lecture we have seen types of cement and heat of hydration. Today we are going to see alkali aggregate reaction and grading curves of aggregates. So aggregates are the most important ingredient of the concrete because they contribute 70 to 80% of volume of concrete combinedly, means coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. So first of all we'll see the functions of aggregates. They act as a structural filler metal in the concrete. They provide strength to the concrete, also increasing the durability of concrete. They also reduce the shrinkage that could occur in the concrete, and they also reduce the amount of paste required in creating to make it economical. Okay, now we'll see the alkali aggregate reaction. Okay, it has been proved from experiments that the aggregates are not inert material, they contain some impurities. So aggregates obtained from opaline or chalcedonic cherts, okay, in these types of aggregate some reactive silica is present, and that reactive silica reacts with alkalis present in the cement like Na2O and K2O, which will form alkali silicate gel, and that gel is responsible for unlimited swelling in the concrete structures, and due to unlimited swelling it increases the internal pressure and subsequent disruption of the cement base. So cracks will form in the structures, and that will lead to weakens the structure. Now this is the typical picture of alkali aggregate reaction. So here it is the cement paste, a reaction product and reactive aggregate. Now factors promoting the alkali aggregate reaction. So following factors are intended to occur the alkali aggregate reaction. So if you use the reactive type of aggregate, then it is possible to happen the alkali aggregate reaction. Like the next point is high. If you are using high alkali cement content, okay, then availability of moisture and temperatures changes, means frequently if the temperatures are changes, then it is possible to happen the alkali aggregate reaction. Now to control this alkali aggregate reaction, these points we have to take care for following points selection of non-reactive aggregates, means if we are using non-reactive type aggregates, then it is possible that alkali aggregate reaction will not occur. By using low alkali cement, the next point is by using corrective admixtures such as pozzolanas. If you are using pozzolanas, then there is a possibility of not happening alkali aggregate reaction. By controlling moisture condition and temperature, and then next one is by controlling void spaces in the concrete so that swelling will not happen, means we are not providing space for the swelling. The next point is grading of aggregate. Basically grading of aggregate is carried out to avoid or to minimize the voids in the aggregate so that minimum paste will required, and whenever if you keep the voids in the concrete, means if you are not properly doing grading of aggregates in the concrete, then there will be voids present in the concrete. So whenever that concrete structure will subjected to the loading, that voids will remove or air will remove and cracks will form there. Okay, so it will not take proper load, and it will earlier it will fail. So grading of aggregate is done so that there will not be any voids in the aggregate. So the particle size distribution of an aggregate determined by the sieve analysis is termed as grading of aggregate. The particle size distribution of mass aggregate should be such that the smaller particles fill the gap between the larger particle. The proper grading of aggregate produced dense concrete which reduces the amount of sand and cement paste. Okay, if the proper grading is done, then voids will not be remain there. So minimum paste will require to cover the aggregate surface area. So in that case we are using minimum paste, and ultimately we are making that concrete economical. Consistency of grading of aggregate helps to ensure the uniform quality of aggregate. Sieve analysis is the operation of dividing a sample of aggregate fraction, each fraction consisting of particles between the specified limits. The sieve analysis determines the particle size distribution in the sample of aggregate. The sieve used for the sieve analysis are 4.75 mm, 10 mm, 20 mm, 40 mm, and 80 mm for coarse aggregate, and for fine aggregate 2.36 mm, 1.18 mm, 600, 300, and 150 microns. These sieves are used for sieve analysis of fine aggregate. So this is the picture of sieves and sieve shaker. So these are the minimum weights are required for sieve analysis. Suppose if your maximum size of aggregate is 20 mm from aggregate samples, then we have to take minimum weight of sample it should not be less than 2 kg for 20 mm. So this is the, it has been given by IS 2386. If we are sieve analysis doing of 50 mm size of aggregate, then the minimum weight should not be less than 35 kg. Now next point is maximum size of aggregate. Means what do you mean maximum size of aggregate? The smallest size of sieve opening through which entire amount of aggregate is required to pass. Okay, suppose if you want to make the sieve analysis of any aggregate samples, and if you want to find out the maximum size of aggregate and out of that sample, then if you make the sieve analysis, or if you make the sieving of that whole sample, then when that entire sample is passing through the smallest size of sieve, that sieve size is called as maximum size of aggregate. The next one is nominal maximum size of aggregate. This is also same, but only here instead of entire sample is passing, it is okay with 10 if the out of that 10% is retained on the sieve, then that sieve size is called as nominal maximum size of aggregate. Then aggregate single size, aggregate the bulk of which passes one sieve but retain on the next smaller, then that is called as aggregate of single size. For example, the aggregate meeting the specification limit shown below have maximum size is 37.5 mm. So here entire sample is passing, that's why the maximum size is 37.5 mm. Okay, then maximum nominal size we can consider it as a 25 mm, because less than 10% is retained here. Okay, means 95 to 100% are passing through that size, that's why here we can consider it as a 25 mm as a nominal maximum size of the aggregate. Now next one is grading of aggregate. So there are three types of grading. First one is well graded, then poorly graded, and gap graded. Types of grading: continuous grading. Continuous grading minimize the volume of voids but increases the size of surface area. Suppose if you maintain the continuous grading, then it minimizes the volume of voids but increases the size of surface area. Uniform grading: all particles are of same size. It produces a large volume of voids. If we perform, or if we take a uniform grading, then all particles are of same size, then it produces large volume. Then grading of curves of aggregate. Now next point is zones of aggregate. So these are the zones of aggregate: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and zone 4. There are 4 zones. Okay, so what is the difference between zone 1 and zone 2? This these percentages are given by IS. Okay, so here IS sizes are written. Okay, now in the grading 1, means in zone 1, 10 mm size of aggregate is passing 100%. Means if the 100% is passing, of 10 mm size, then in zone 1, zone 2, in zone 4, all in the all zones the percentage is same. Okay, but regarding 4.75 mm size, in the zone 2 it is 90 to 100, but in case of grading zone 4 it is 95 to 100, means there is minor difference. Okay, so these differences are made by the IS, and on that basis aggregates are divided into 4 zones, means these are the passing limits of the uh, aggregates from these saves. So these are the grading limits of for coarse aggregate, which is given by IS 383 1970. Next point is admixture. These are the materials used in the cement to modify one or more properties in hardened or plastic state of the concrete. So these are the chemicals which are added into the cement to modify one or more properties in the hardened or plastic state. So these are the functions of or reasons why we are using admixture: to increase the slump and workability, to retard or accelerate the initial setting time. So these are some functions or reasons why we are using admixtures. So now types of admixtures are mineral admixture and chemical admixtures. So these are the finely ground solid material, and next one is water soluble compounds. So in the liquid state. So types of chemical admixtures are accelerators, retarders, water reducing admixtures, superplasticizers, and air entraîning admixtures. Accelerators are nothing but they are increases the setting properties or strength properties of the cement or concrete. Okay, if we add accelerators, then these properties will increase or accelerates. And retarders are the types of chemicals if we use them, then these will work exactly opposite to the accelerators, means they retards the setting time or strength gaining of concrete. Then next one is water reducing admixtures. These, if we add these types of admixture, then it controls the percentage of water or it reduces the water cement ratio. If we use water reducing admixture, if uh, if i'm if I'm not using water reducing admixture, and initially if I required 100 liters of water, and if I'm using water reducing admixture, then it may reduce up to 80 to 70 liter water. Instead of using 100 liters, I may use 70 to 80 liters of water if I add water reducing admixture. And if I add super plasticizer, it may, the percentage of water reducing, it may increases up to 30%, and in case of water reducing admixture, it may up to 10 to 12%. The next one is air entertaining admixtures. These types of admixtures produce millions of air bubbles, and it produces lubricating effect into the concrete, so that workability of concrete enhance very fast or enhance very high. Then pozzolanic or mineral admixtures are divided into two groups. First one is natural pozzolana, and second one is artificial pozzolana. So natural pozzolana is clays, shells, oplanic cherts. So these are natural pozzolanas, and these are the artificial pozzolanas. Thank you for the patient listening.